Hornchurch is a permanent RAF station, of course, and so we're accommodated in billets rather than in tents and nuts and so forth, which was really very, very comfortable, of course, until the air raids started coming, and then it was all hell let loose. Our days were long. The weather was magnificent, absolutely lovely sunny weather, unbelievable really these days with global warming and so forth. But our activities were starting before dawn, out onto the airfield, wiping off the dew that was on the aircraft and making sure that the engine worked and all the controls were operating satisfactorily. After that, probably 7:30 or 8 o'clock, depends on how things were. Some of us would go over to breakfast, so there again I piled 3 other chaps in the car and we'd go over to the mess for breakfast. Then come back after that, make sure everything was working satisfactorily, check the tyres, check the aircraft thoroughly. On the rigger's side, he would make sure the ailerons worked, the flaps worked, controls worked and so forth. Engine fitter would run up the engine, and the worst thing really at that time of day was for the engine fitter to run up the engine, and that started up and make it go hell for leather. And so that the air Spitfire didn't suddenly run into the air, the rigger had to sit on the back plane with his backside facing forward and hanging over the back to keep the tail of the aircraft down on the ground. And that we carried on. And then once, of course, there was action, and there was quite a lot of action, we had to make sure that we were all constant. You were called at constant readiness at certain periods. A message would come over the tannoy system, which was a broadcast system on all airfields, pre-war and post-war. If the squadron was given 20 minutes of readiness, that meant you've got to get ready, get the aircraft ready to take off, and which then it was instant. A bell would ring. One of the riggers would all be in dispersal hut, sitting around just waiting for action. One of the men would ring the bell, go like hell, and all the pilots would dash out to the aircraft. You've got to strap them in, start the engine before they got there, make sure everything was working, they were satisfied, and off they'd go.
How often were you experiencing attacks?
Hornchurch, we arrived down in Hornchurch, I think on the 28th of August 1940, and the very next day was one of the major attacks. And I carried a camera, and of course photography was prohibited during the war, but I made to take some photographs and nobody ever saw me. If they saw me, they didn't do anything. And I've got one in my hand here that I'll show you, and we see all the aircraft lined up on the airfield, and the local road roller, local council, the road roller was purloined and was brought in to flatten the earth that we'd all thrown into the holes. And yes, we had innumerable raids. We never knew when we were going to get one, of course. There would be an announcement over the tannoy system, take cover, and the ground crew would, if the flight wasn't being ordered up in the air, ground crew would take cover and have to go in air raid shelter. And it was essential that the ground crew, and by that I mean all trades, had to take air raid cover, because an aircraft could be replaced, but a person couldn't be replaced so quickly.
Did you, how scared were you when these...
You were never scared. There was never one iota of thought in one's mind that you weren't succeeding. We were never afraid of anything. You always had to wear your tin hat. That was vital. But fortunately, the shrapnel didn't get hold of me. There was nobody ever felt, oh good God, what's going to happen here at all. It just never entered our head. There were not countless attacks on the airfields, because the Germans hoped that by having one major attack on it, they'd put it out of commission without unknown length of time. But because everybody pulled together, they were operational virtually within hours of an attack coming. I mean, Hornchurch had their worst attack on the 29th of August or 1st of September, I forget now, and it was really bomb holes everywhere. But within 24 hours, that airfield was fully operational again. Everybody had to just muck in. Although I was a rigger and the engine fitters and so forth, you all just helped to get things right and running again, because in no way were we going to give up.
How much were you told, sort of on a daily basis, of what was happening in terms of the Battle of Britain specifically, or the war? Were you able to get information?
No, you knew nothing about it whatsoever, except what you read in the papers. Nothing was told you, things are going all right today, or they're not going all right today, or anything. You had to make your own judgment up, but you really didn't think about anything other than your own activity, getting the job in hand done and completed. You never thought, well, what's going to happen next week? But just carried on working like Billy every day. And as I said earlier, you did get leave at various times, but the whole squadron was fully operational the whole time. On this particular day in September, I think we had 3 aircraft out of 12 were workable after these raids, because of damage from bombs, and also the fighters damaged in the air. But within 24 hours, somehow or other, we were fully operational, but with half the number of aircraft. And pilots, for instance, some new pilots would come, see the CO on arrival, and he would probably ask them, well, how many hours have you done in the Spitfire? Oh, 5, sir. And that's all. He would go up, and poor chap, he might be the one who never returned because of lack of experience. And you could see them, and when there was no air raid on and the aircraft were up fighting, you obviously looked in the sky and thought, well, at 30,000 feet, they're up there giving cherry hell, and that was it.